welcome to Runway Dallas press conference tonight. Thank you so much for being here. Designers, thank you so much for being here. We're going to jump right to it and get started, but before we do, I want to introduce you to our designers tonight. So I would be remiss, normally you start from the end, right? But we're going to start in the middle with our founder, owner, and visionary of Runway Dallas, Marcella Richardson, with Marcella Collection. Okay, so now we'll go to the end there. We have, let's see, Christian Henderson. He's with Mōshin Brand. And then we have Norma Joi with Njoi Design. We have Quianna Brooks with Divine Qui-Tel. We have Ankita.
Yes.
Ankita Jani. Ankita Jani. And she is with chillstreethouse. And then we have Keith Garner with Buziness Mynds. All right, so let's get into it. Thank you for being here. So we want to know a little bit about you on a personal level, just briefly. I'll ask each one of you this question, if you can just briefly give me an answer. So I'll start with you, Christian. What moment in your career challenged you the most, and how did it shape the designer you are today?
I would say the moment of my career that challenged me the most was probably my last fall semester. I did a piece that talked about the dark time I went through and how the Lord brought me through it, and how my dad was there to comfort me. So that was the hardest time, but that was also the turning point in my career as a student fashion designer.
Awesome. If you just want to pass the mic.
Hey everyone. The most challenging part of my career was when I moved to New York. I was looking for a job. I had all this experience in like HR, but I did not want a job in HR. I didn't move to New York for that. So I found a job. I called a temp agency. I said, I need a job, but not just any job. I told her what I wanted. And the lady, she told me, I'm going to get you a job in your field. She went ahead and got me a receptionist job in a fashion house. So that helped me with getting my foot into the door. But during that journey, the first assignment was in HR. And while I was there, they ended up, my assignment was to change over all of the data into their new system. So I was able to see that I did not want to be a pattern maker anymore. And I knew that I wanted to change my position in fashion.
Awesome. So I'm going to ask if you can just repeat the question again. Sure, yes. What moment in your career challenged you the most, and how did it shape the designer you are today?
Trying to get that clear answer. And I think for me, so I've been doing this a very long time, and I think for me, the challenging part of this was many years ago, being a single mom, trying to juggle the two, right? How do I continue to build a fashion platform, do my collection, and make money as a mom, right? Because that's what bills are due. And it's just kind of, it's struggling when you have that passion, that thing that has to go inside of you that you're designed to do. And you have to figure out how to work that within the normal day-to-day living. If you have bills and then time is, everyone has the same 24 hours, but how do I prioritize that to make sure that I'm doing the things that are needed for me as a mom? So it was just being able to kind of figure out how to do that in a way where it was effective, where I wasn't just giving a part here and part there, and I could show up the way I wanted to.
Awesome.
Hello everyone. I would say for me, it would probably be when my dad died. I felt like what would be the point of following my dream was if he wasn't here to see it. But my mom told me that he would always be here and just to keep it in the group.
Okay, and I will give the question again.
No problem. What moment in your career challenged you the most, and how did it shape the designer you are today?
Challenge, I would say I belong to an IT field, lived 15 years there. AI, innovation, making sure I'm still creating there. So the creator is still alive, but as a child, I was very passionate about fashion and I always wanted to pursue NIFT, National Institute of Fashion Designing.
Okay.
And I was the 30th student and I forgot to fill the right place I wanted to be, and my parents weren't ready to put me in a place that was steady because of certain circumstances during our time. And I was supposed to fill in Kolkata, which was my grandmother's house. If I had done that, I would have been able to get that place. Had I been the 31st student, I probably would have got that place automatically. So I couldn't do that at that point. Then I got married to a man who absolutely supported all of my dreams. Even though I was double masters at that time, he said, if you want to do passion, pursue your passion. And every time I met with a challenge, I always had his support. So, ending the challenge on a positive note.
Yes.
I've had a man in my life that has always been there to balance my challenge.
That's awesome. You got it?
Yes, sir. Good question.
What moment in your career challenged you the most, and how did it shape the designer you are today?
Yes, ma'am. I actually started off as a brand ambassador for another brand. And I really enjoyed accessories and just representing the brand. I was able to travel and grow this particular designer that I was working with, their brand. And then after a while, they just dropped me. Yeah, they just dropped me. And it was kind of disheartening because I really wanted to learn the industry, learn the business. It's business minds.
Okay.
And I said, you know what, I'm going to continue to press forward and do what I love. And if I ever get into a position where I can help somebody else, I'm going to pay it forward. And so that actually was a turning point for me.
Well, I appreciate you all giving a little insight about who you are, and it sounds like you all are some very just good character people and not just wonderful designers, so that's great to have you in this space. So we got to know a little bit about you as a person. So now we're going to get into about you with your vision. And so I'll ask you this. I'm going to pick some people, right? So Quianna, and then I'll ask someone else. What story or emotion sits at the heart of your current collection, and why is it important to tell it now? If you can pass that for me.
I wouldn't necessarily have a story. I just have like a feeling of whimsy, I guess. I feel like the world is too serious and it's not going wrong. And I just want my collection to have a feeling of escapism when they look at my stuff. Like they're in a wonderland, magical fairy tale, something unreal when they see my collection.
Nice, okay. I'm gonna ask this of Keith too, if you could pass that down. And I'm asking Keith because he mentioned about the business part of how that inspired you, so let's expand on that. What story or emotion sits at the heart of your current collection, and why is it important to tell it now?
What other better time than present time? And that's one thing I have learned that nobody has an access of is time. And so the motivation behind my collection is called Business Mynds. Proverbs 23 says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So I never wanted to name myself after myself. I wanted it to be an idea that when you put on my suit, you're really putting on a certain way of thinking. It's about thinking. So whether you are a toddler like my 3-year-old and 4-year-olds and they're not here because they run there forever. But I want to teach them at a young age is that, if you think a certain way, you can accomplish anything. So be it good grades, just being kind to people, just success in general, just how you train your mind to think and want success.
Thank you for that. My next question is going to be for Ankita.
Which unexpected source outside of fashion, influenced your designs in this season?
In this season, good question.
If I remove in this season, I have all the right answers.
Well, if you want to expand to maybe a previous season, but recently, right?
I would say one that has stayed with me for a very, very long time. I have been through various sizes. Triple XL, double XL, large, medium, and currently sitting between medium and large. Still working on myself. So that's one. I've seen how confidence can be shaken. And recently, when I met a friend of mine that went through the same journey, very closely as mine, I was diagnosed with gestational diabetes 2014 when my older one was born. And then the gestational diabetes was fine. And then with the second one again, it stayed with me. It was pretty hard to change my shape, my weight in any which ways. She went through the same exact journey. And we followed the same path of intermittent fasting, ensuring we are eating right, doing things that put us in the right shape. But that was not essentially for looking pretty or beautiful. It was essentially for making our kids, or shaping the world right for the kids so I could play with them, be in the right mood, be available to them. That journey definitely inspired me to build clothes that are available for all different sizes, shapes. So I did include small, medium, large to triple XL in my collection. That was one, and that has been there. What inspired my current collection? I ensured that shorter models were also included, because most of the times we see gowns are pretty long, doesn't fit them, we have to customize it for them. So we went into collections that could be utilized for all sizes and shapes.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I'm sure the short people will appreciate that. Marcella, I'm going to ask this of you. How do you balance artistic expression with wearability when creating a collection?
And you know, that's one thing that I always seek to do when I'm designing. I want it to be something that you wear. I don't just want to create the visual that looks amazing on the runway and now you just stick it in the closet because, right. How do I balance that? I mean, I only have one answer, and it's like, God's just awesome. It works for me. He's just awesome. I mean, I just feel like sometimes there's just downloads of creativity. You know, there was a time when I thought about, you know, okay, I want to put it, like, even like right now in this season that I'm in, it's like I don't have a lot of time to apply to putting towards the design and the making, because I would make it also. Okay. And but when I make it myself, there's a lot of design that still goes into it while I'm making it. It's like, okay, I can put this way, I can put the pocket that way. So it's like the vision kind of comes alive, and I'm seeing it right before my own eyes as well. Okay. And it's so awesome because that end product, it's like I just stand there and I'm like, oh, look at that. Isn't that awesome? You know, look at how we did, you know, and it's like this personal thing that we have, me and the Lord, honestly. And it's like just the creating the, you know, let's put this together. And it's like, I can see something like a building, like, I mean, because my craft collection is for the career woman, okay, I can be inspired by like a building, like architectural details, like shapes, like paper, like that excites me because I know it can be made into something. So I just love that creative part, and I think most creatives can kind of have that same kind of a similar understanding of what that means. So to me, it balances.
Your answer is a great segue into the next part that I want to explore, which is the process of designers. So Norma Joi, what detail in your garments are you most proud of, even if most people never notice it?
Okay, for this collection, it is two things. I use bamboo cotton. Nobody would even notice, like, it's just like, okay, it's cotton. No, but when you get into it, it's luxurious. It's like, ooh, it's soft, it's comfortable. And then also I did carpets. So this whole collection was just basically thinking about how we live, how we move, what we do. And so I wanted it to be smart, and I wanted it to be luxurious, and I wanted it to be a lounge. Okay. So, but you can still go out and do things in it. So it's bamboo cotton, and it's plenty of pockets, lots of pockets.
Love that.
Functioning
Functioning.
Now, I do know a little bit about you, and I'm just curious. So, Norma Joi's favorite color is yellow, if you hadn't figured it out. So, is there always a hint of yellow in your product, or do you? Okay.
And I wear something yellow every day.
Okay.
And when I got engaged, I have a yellow ring.
Well, there you go. All right. Well, thank you for bringing sunshine into every room, every room that you step in. Christian, I'm going to ask you the same thing. What detail in your garments are you most proud of, even if most people never notice it?
I would say the storytelling aspect of it. So for my about to graduate, so my senior collection, this was the first time I've ever done a fully collection. It was based off stories from the Bible, and from here on out, that's what I'll continue to do with my brand. With just the subtle like details that if you are a believer or if you're just even curious after the show to just ask like, oh, what were those details? What is that story you're trying to tell? It all brings it back to the Lord. So that's what I take pride in. And just being able to better tell stories too, like the design business. Like,
Well, amen.
I'm going to take our next question with Quianna. Quianna, how has your design process evolved over the years, and what sparked that evolution?
I would say I started sketching a little bit more, and I would say it was started that I was in school, and we had to draw. We literally had to do fashion illustration before we even created a garment. And I really fell in love. I used to be just go to the store, see fabric, go home and make it.
Okay.
No thought about it. Now, when I illustrate first, I can really see the vision. That comes alive to me, and it just gives me the motivation to really pursue.
Okay.
So I want to ask all of you this, so brief answers if we can. But I want to segue into business because you all love what you do, and you all are great at what you do, but you turned your love into a business. So it's not just a hobby, okay? So while you have the mic, Quianna, I'm going to ask you first. What was the turning point when you realized your brand had its own identity and voice?
I would say it happened before I left. When I was in school, like high school, when I was in school, they used to be like, they'll be like, oh, that's Quianna, that's what she's wearing. Like, and I just be like, that's me. and then I'll be like, well, I made this. They be like, you made that? Yeah. I've never seen anything like that. So it just got me like, I'm really like my own person. Okay. There's nobody but me.
So that was your identity point. Thank you for that. All right, let's go this way. Marcella, what was the turning point when you realized your brand had its own identity and voice?
So, like I said, I've been doing this a long time, and I've shared this story many times. I've been designing since I was 10. With like sheets, curtains, like when I was a kid, like whatever fabric I could find, and old grandfather's old coats and all that. But it's so funny because the thing that comes to mind is a couple of days ago. Okay. So, I've been designing, I've been doing this, and I'm like, yes, my brand is my favorite brand. Of course, it's my brand, right? Sure. But a couple of days ago, someone said, look at herself. You could pretty much tell her brand because it looks like her. Okay. And so when she said that, it was like, yeah, right, that's right, And it's like, it's me. And so a couple of days ago is when I realized it just kind of came alive. Wow. That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, Norma Joi, what was the turning point when you realized your brand had its own identity and voice?
I've always been different. So you see me, I look normal, but then it's like, okay, you get to talking to her, she's different. She's an artist. So there was never a point, only because everybody in my family can sing, draw, dance. So everyone is kind of like, come to my house and you're like, I don't know what is the focal point here. It's a lot going on. Yeah. So I've just always been different, and my collection is same but different.
So your difference has always just been your voice?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just since starting to draw like 4.
I would say the garment that I mentioned earlier last fall semester, I made a garment called Testimony, and that was the first time that I actually could intention behind it, not just because it looked cool, but what was the meaning, what story could it tell? And after that, so I was able to speak and help others to face their truths. So that's when I realized that, oh, I could do something good.
So I was 15 years old, and I used to design anything from my mom's saris, although I am from a textile background. We did not always have the luxury to buy new pieces for every occasion, but I would do find some saris. So saris are the 6-meter long fabric that we drape on ourselves in India pretty much all the time. And that's what I would go peek into and make something nice to wear. Sometimes it would be gowns, sometimes it would be shirts out of those.
Okay.
And that's when I realized everybody around me would ask, where did you buy that from? Like, hey, I could probably make that into a business. And I started selling when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So it was a small business.
Yeah. Ambitious for 15 though.
Absolutely.
That's great.
Business.
Okay, good. And then what is it, Keith?
I would say it was when I stopped working as a brand ambassador and started doing my own brand. One thing I realized is that you could have best looking clothes, you can have the best looking suit, pocket skirt, you can be sharp, but I really realized that it is not about the suit on the man, but it's about the man in the suit.
Okay.
And I wanted that to stand for something, which is why I never wanted to name my suit after me. Because there's only one Keith Garner, but you can also bring the idea of business mind and you can embody what it's supposed to stand for. And that, I think that was when I figured I was on to something, just the idea of the brand. So
let me stay with you with the next question. How do you navigate the tension between creative freedom and the business side of fashion?
that's an easy question. The creative tension, I just took out all the rules. Sometimes it's too many rules, and fashion is just a form of expression. It's an extension of who you are. And so just to create, just to be artistic, come up with new ideas. I could, like Marcella, I could be, maybe see something and get inspired by something, just run with that idea. The business side of it is just treating people right and listening. It's for a wedding. It's just for your everyday wear. What do you need for? And just serving my clients to the best of my ability. I want them to be able to come back and be like, you know what? I like the suits, but I absolutely love the service. And I think that's what drives me.
That combination is so important, Keith. And since Marcella has been in the business probably the longest, I'll ask her this question too. How do you navigate the tension between creative freedom and the business side of fashion?
Or if someone's coming to me with this pattern, like, could you make this? Yeah, but I don't do that. I'm a designer. This is what I make right here, right? Yeah. So I think I put the creative freedom front to the front because I tried that before, and then you lose the passion for it because my mother sews dresses and you want her to do that, if you want that. But to me, the beauty in doing it is the creative freedom, the design part.
Yeah.
Like if I want to wear white after Labor Day, like if I want to, yellow, if it's yellow. But I think that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes you a designer.
Okay. And so the business kind of takes care of itself once that creative freedom.
Yeah, I mean, you still want to have some of that because otherwise you're just making clothes that's pretty.
Sure.
Then what?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we just had industry night. Runway Dallas just had industry night on Wednesday. It was a great event, great energy, great venue, all the things. And so designers showed up, models showed up, stylists showed up, and they walked in with all their creativity, right? And it was expressed either through hair, clothes, accessories, or everything above. So my question to you, and I want to ask you all of this, so brief answers again, but I want to ask you all of this. What emerging trend do you believe, and Marcella, you can start since you have the mic, what emerging trend do you believe will shape the future of fashion in the next 3 to 5 years?
So as a designer and a creative and I try not to really watch the trends because I don't want to be steered one way or another. Because in doing so, you lose creative freedom because now those seeds are planted and somehow you're gonna. I don't want to do that.
Okay.
But I think what I think we can expect, I think you can expect that anything goes.
Okay.
I think you can expect that.
Yeah.
Because we see it in so many places.
Other things. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that, putting the limits on just kind of hinders the growth. It hinders the creativity. It hinders the process.
Gotcha.
So I think that's what we can expect.
I don't really follow the trends either, and then in today's age, a lot of the trends are just cash grabs. So it's like it's not really anything new going on. So I just find inspiration with myself.
Same thing. It puts you in the box.
Yeah.
You don't want to think inside the box. You always want to think outside the box. So that's one thing that limits you. You shouldn't be limited by trends. One thing I do hope a trend that's coming up is reusability. If that sticks, I would love that trend to stick.
I like that. Okay. Because even though you guys aren't following trends, you know that they exist.
Absolutely.
Right?
So, so that's kind of the question. Like the ones that you know that exist, how do you think they will be shaped in the next 3 to 5 years?
Very similar. I think, creating your own lane creates a trend itself. You see something you like that's different, and you go after it. So, I'm very much like the rest of the designers up here. It's just I'm just doing what I love.
Yeah.
And just making it relatable to those that also love it.
I like that answer. Creating for yourself creates its own trend, which is a good answer or a good segue for Norma, if we want to pass that mic down there, because Norma does luxurious loungewear, but she used the bamboo material. So talk to me about what emerging trend do you believe will shape the future of fashion in the next 3 to 5 years?
Actually, the trend that I think that's going to shape everything has nothing to do with fashion, but the economy. And so right now, with the way gas prices are set up, I think that's going to make some changes. The way people are going to be spending and doing extra things. So I think that is going to be the next trend with, okay, I'm going to have to make a choice here. And at first it was like, I'm going to get everybody's stuff. Now it's like, 2, 3, so I think that trend is really going to be real in the next 3 to 5 years. That's a good point. Thank you for that. Christian, what do you think?
I think storytelling. I see a lot of emerging brands and just brands in general from what I've been seeing on social media. They've been trying to tell stories more through their garments, even through the collections, through the brand launches, like just making sure that their brand is more than just a brand. So I think that's the trend that's gonna push forward the industry in the next 3 to 5 years.
That's a good point. Thank you for that. Let's see.
And I think before you take a question,
Thank you.
AI is another trend.
We're getting there. We're getting there. Don't jump ahead, Ankita. Don't jump ahead. We're getting there. But thank you for that. Let's go. Let's go. And let's give the mic to her since she brought it up. Ankita.
Yeah.
How is technology, AI, digital design, virtual runways, that's okay, shaping the way you create or present your work?
You can see it pretty visual.
Yeah.
I've started accommodating that into my design. It helps a lot. Now, my rough sketches can do wonders. I don't have to finalize them very closely to my design. So that's one way I've already started incorporating that. There are plenty in my to-dos. And because I come from an AI and innovation background in healthcare IT,
Yeah.
I am already pretty close to the idea and I'm bringing it to my passion
That's awesome.
segment as well.
Okay.
So yeah, that's one thing. This question plus the previous question.
Sure.
Anybody who forgets to include that in their work will probably be left behind if we don't start adding it to our work, everyday work, in next 6 to 8 months probably.
So let me reiterate real fast. The trends, if they're not including technology or AI, it won't be a trend for them.
Probably
Okay.
not.
Okay.
And even the business, anything that we are doing in our daily lives, any business that forgets to include AI will probably be the business in past. So we all should be learning AI, should be working towards it and ensuring that that becomes a part of our business and
Awesome. Okay. So you guys, not to date you, but we do have a college student here. So I just want to hear from the college student or the younger designer here. How is technology, AI, digital design, virtual runways, how do you feel they're shaping the way you create or present your work?
It's like a whole new world basically. Because, being in school right now, we're learning a foundation. But I definitely have been into like 3D and seeing how that can further expand our brand and just creativity, as well as just like for my brand, a lot of my stuff is inspired by anime, so even like world building. So maybe one day I want to have like an anime with specific characters that wear my clothing. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I love that. Actually, that leads me to a question that I have on here. I'm trying to find out where it is, but yes. Okay, so and this can go for anyone who wants to answer. How about we do that? If I can find the question. So until I find that question, let me move on. Anyone who wants to answer this. What do you think the fashion industry still gets wrong about diversity, representation, or sustainability? And Christian, if you want to answer that, you can. If not, if you want to pass the mic. And I'll say the question again real fast because it was a long one. What do you think the fashion industry still gets wrong about diversity, representation, or sustainability?
For me, I just think that there's not enough originality and creativity. Like every time I see like a new thing, it's either a big brand stealing it from a small designer or someone taking an idea that's already there and replicating it, which there's nothing wrong with, putting your own spin on an idea, but I would like to see more of these original and things that you never seen before. For menswear, I want to broaden it because when I go shopping for menswear, I usually end up going to the women's section. They just got more variety of jackets and stuff like that. So, yeah.
I guess I can answer that. Sometimes I think just trends, sometimes boxes, designers and do too much. Models should look a certain way. The guys should have a certain physique or certain. Y'all see how tall I am? I've been inside all my life. And a lot of times the shows, all the shows from there, that's the designer right there, And so with my brand, I am not boxed in by, I want to represent what feels good and what is good. And that's just where I'm going. I'm not following any kind of, and hopefully by doing that, I can open other avenues to also say, wow, that's interesting. I can also, be involved in fashion. I can also have my own style. It's necessarily how to fit with the rest of the world.
And so in doing that, that's kind of speaking to the representation part, would you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Was there anybody else? Okay. So I have you have one, Marcella? What do you think the fashion industry still gets wrong about diversity, representation, or sustainability?
Well, I don't know that I'm going to answer directly that, but I'm kind of piggybacking off of what both the gentlemen here said. And I think it's just, they make the fashion industry like it's this little secret club or something, and they make it like it's so difficult to get in, and they make, it's so, clicks and this hidden world, that they don't make it easy for people that are looking for answers, that are looking to try to get plugged in, that are looking to try to they just want to grow their brand, they just want to be creative and do that and learn the business. And I think that's where they get it wrong, where they close out a lot of new ideas, a lot of new faces, a lot of sizes, right? A lot of new, things that people can add to the industry as opposed to embracing it and seeing how we can take that and work together to help something be dynamic. They just try to kind of covet it and just kind of keep themselves. I think that's where it's ultimately wrong overall.
I think that answers the
question. That's just kind of been the way I always remember it.
Yeah. No, I think that answers the question. Back to you, Christian. You had mentioned anime. and how that inspires you. So I found the question that I wanted to ask you, and then I'm going to ask Ankita as well. Who do you imagine wearing your designs, and how does that person influence your creative decisions, which you kind of spoke to, but if you can expand on that.
So my brand is basically in faith with fiction, and a lot of my stuff is inspired by like, I would say right now mostly music. So I had the chance to meet one of my favorite gospel artists with Ray, and I actually made him a kimono, and I would like in the future to be like his personal designer. He goes on tours and anything. So that's if I had to pick one person, that would be it.
All right. Well, we hope we can see that to fruition. Ankita, same thing. Who do you imagine wearing your designs, and how does that person influence your creative decisions?
Thinking of one person would be difficult because the idea of my brand was never about. So my idea was fashion is not what you wear. Fashion is who you are basically. So my brand started with vision of making sure it includes from kids to adults.
Okay.
Different sizes, different women, different kids being able to wear. So one thing that inspires me though is rivers. So every time I see water,
Okay.
every time I see river, the flowiness, it just never stops. It keeps flowing, keeps moving. That's what I want to bring into my clothes as well, to my garments, the designs. You always find some people, even today.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I love that, and I love water, so I really love that vision that you created for us there. Okay, this question, we have two more questions, and then we're going to wrap it up. And this question is for anyone who wants to answer. What advice would you give designers trying to stand out in a saturated market? Marcella already kind of spoke to that, so let's expand upon that. What advice would you give designers trying to stand out in a saturated market?
This is what I would say. Be yourself. Listen, there is only one of each one of us in this universe. By the number of hairs on our head to the DNA on our fingerprint. And that will never change. And I feel like if you're just the most authentic self and you're sincere with it, I think it will naturally take the shape that it's supposed to take. That's what I would say. Just be yourself, do what you love what you do, and it'll eventually find its way. So that's what I would say.
All right.
And I'd like to add that I know the market is saturated. Everybody is trying to do the best of what they can. Don't be ever scared of competition. Never think about someone who's trying to get into your field as a competition. Think about it as a collaboration. See how you can be of help to them and see how they can help you. Because we as creative individuals will always benefit from each other's creativity. We will never contradict or compete with each other. We will always add to creativity.
I love that. It takes a level of maturity to do that, but hopefully people get there because that's a great that collaboration. Thank you for that. Anybody else who wants to answer?
Just add that, we're always going to be close. So, and when one person likes, they can also like another designer. So like you said, there's no competition. That one person can buy from everything. There's no reason to be competing.
I was just gonna say, just don't be afraid. Don't allow fear to paralyze you. Don't be held back. Don't get in your own way, get in your own head. Just do the thing, right? And these are things that. So I have an opportunity to. I don't. Okay, I'm not gonna. Just don't be afraid. Just don't be afraid. If you are afraid, do it afraid. Just do it. Just do it.
They call that courage, by the way.
Absolutely.
Yes.
My advice would be to learn, continue to learn. Do something that you think is like, that's going to be so hard. Well, take the first step, write down all the steps and make a plan and figure it out. And just try it.
Okay.
That's the biggest thing is most people just don't try it.
Yeah.
For me, just going through my last year at college, a quote that I've come up with is, the only clear path is the unclear one. Because that one was built upon faith. So I would say just, even if you can't see ahead, just know that you're covered, that you're always going to be there. You're selected. So
Yeah.
that was my advice.
What I loved about all you all's answers is it's not just applicable to the fashion world, it's for life, right? Every answer that you gave was for life, but also for designers. So thank you for that. This is the last question for anybody who wants to answer. Love to hear from all of you, but what legacy do you hope your work leaves in fashion or culture? What legacy?
I want to leave behind a legacy of just the kingdom. I just want to work people's eyes to and help them to either go on their journey or if they're curious about their journey, just bringing it all back to the Lord. And that's just it since I made that first garment. And so to continue to do that way for us. So,
Thank you for that, Christian. Norma Joi?
My legacy would be for people to buy the clothes that makes them happy and excited and joyful.
Yes, absolutely. Marcella?
I'm gonna piggyback on Christian because without having price first, like none of this matters. Like nothing else matters. And this, and let's just take it to the level of the fashion because we're talking about that. What we're doing as far as Runway Dallas goes is bigger than us. And the legacy that I want to leave this so that it's continued by another generation and so on and so on. And that we're providing a safe place for designers. We're providing a safe place for people to learn and grow and launch. And I want that to continue to live on, and it has to. And I always tell people, I'm like, this is God's business.
Sure.
And it will live on because of that.
Awesome. If you all can project for me. I don't know if the mic is. What legacy do you hope your work leaves in fashion or culture?
Like I was saying earlier, just being a more whimsy. I would say life experience for a short time, not a long time. So wear what you want to wear, and hopefully it comes from the heart.
Awesome.
I would want the fashion business altogether to think a little bit more about sustainability and our environment. We are gearing towards a lot of wear and throw kind of outfits and fabrics. I want to try and get closer to biodegradable fabrics. I'm still not there, but we are still aiming. I have my textile factory in India,
Sure.
and my dad, my mom, and my brother, all three of them there as well. They're looking for this idea, and they're trying to find fabric that is less damaging. When it lands in the landfill, it's not lying there.
Yeah.
Some part of it, at least, can be degradable. And at some point, our aim is to make sure that we are able to get to that fabric that is biodegradable and economical at the same time. So the current challenge is there are fabrics out there, but they are not economical enough for each one of us to be able to afford it.
Well, that's an ambitious legacy, but it's a beautiful one. So yeah, hope you get there, right?
Hopefully.
Yes. Keith.
You've been trying it for a very, very long time.
Yes.
Hopefully we reach there.
Yes. Keith, legacy. I know you have a 3-year-old and a 4-year-old boy, but let's hear what you got to say.
Yeah, a little business mind. We were just talking about this. I just want people to be inspired by my story. 10 years from now, I wouldn't want somebody to see my clothes and just say, wow, that's a nice suit. I would want them to see my clothes and be like, let me tell you about what that man went through to get to where he is today. And whether they buy the clothes or not, hopefully they will, but whether they buy the clothes or not, it's just being inspired, like Christian said, by the story behind the clothes. That's all I want to say.
Well, thank you so much. I personally have enjoyed talking to you all today. How about you guys? Can we give them a round of applause?